Sir, if voting happens, do you think GST design and structure will be protected? You have stressed that many a times. So do you think if voting happens on this issue, GST structure and design will go for a toss?
I don't, I'm not worried about the GST design being shaken up or being disturbed. That's not what I intended. Because at the end of the day, if voting takes place in the GST Council, it is the count of the votes that will determine the implementation of the decision. What I meant is that because the GST Council is a constitutional body, one has to respect the sanctity of that body because that body's decision is critical. Obviously, when a decision takes place, in those decisions may not work out for certain people who are voting in the council. I think what happens is that when there is a consistent voting that takes place in a GST council, it tends to bring in a unwarranted stress between the center and the state. And this stress could, in my view, shake up and question the GST design. See, we have to remember one thing that the GST as a law has been in works for many, many years, at least for a decade, if not 2 decades prior to 2017 implementation. And you have to make sure that you preserve that design because it is number one of the most landmark tax reforms that the country has ever seen. And number two, it also gives a sense of confidence to the business. Besides, of course, the larger philosophy for the government that it helps you in leakages, tracks you the parallel economy, so on and so forth. So I'm not worried about this dismantling the GST design as such. The voting will take place and the voting will determine. I hope the voting doesn't take place. I hope that the center and states are able to work out an amicable formula. I don't know whether, we've had only one experience of voting taking place. So,
Yeah, but sir, if I could just quickly jump in, so why are you not bothered or concerned by this dismantling, so to say, because if this voting takes place, then that is going to add distress between states and center, as you indicated. Future votings may also happen, and then the design is shaken up. That will play out, the implications of which can play out in other areas as well. So why should one not be concerned and bothered by this shaking up of the GST design?
well, I mean, we haven't had many instances of voting taking place. We had only one instance. So in a way, consistently more voting taking place in the GST Council sounds a bit unprecedented. I think it's a question of trust in the system. I think the more trust is there between the center and the state, the better it is for the GST design. I think today there is clearly a political divide within the GST Council, but there is a political divide on so many issues in our country. That
Okay,
doesn't. I'm not terribly worried that this
okay.
political divide will create shake-up of the GST design. But yes, sometimes businesses do get concerned about it. If you're talking to a foreign investor, this is a question that he always asks us as tax policy experts. What do you think are your views on the stability of the GST system? So those questions come up, and those could be avoided easily in my view.